Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot, and today we are going to do our short field takeoff and landing training in the working titled Cirrus SR22T. We are at Helgoland Airport, Germany's most famous and only island airport, featuring a 520 meter runway for the main runway and some much shorter ones as secondary runways. Today we're going to use at first the main runway, as we do want to focus on the training aspect at first, but later we are going to do a landing on the shorter one as well. Okay, so with that said, let's have a look directly into what the pilot's operating handbook says about the short field takeoff. So the flaps are going to be in the 50% position, we'll hold the brakes, power lever full forward, engine parameters check, brakes release, steer with a rudder only, elevator control, rotate smoothly at 80 knots, and airspeed at obstacle 85 knots. In the amplification in the POH, they emphasize that normal and short field takeoffs are accomplished with the flaps set at 50%. Takeoffs using 0% are permissible, however no performance data is available for takeoffs in the flaps up configuration. Takeoffs with 100% flaps are not approved. Soft or rough field takeoff are performed with 50% flaps by lifting the airplane off the ground as soon as practical in a tail-low attitude. If no obstacles are ahead, the airplane should be leveled off immediately to accelerate to a higher climb speed. So that's basically our theory over here. I gave you the soft or rough field information as well, because often short runways are also associated with not so good runway conditions. Alright, so with the theory for the takeoffs discussed, let's now go ahead and have a quick look at the landing, and then we're going to do a quick review later on as we taxi to the runway and as we fly our traffic pattern so that we are aware. So for short field landings, the flaps should be at 100% and the approach speed 79 knots. The power lever is handled as required and reduced to idle just about prior to touchdown. The brakes are then going to be used at a maximum. Now, for a short field landing in smooth air conditions, make an approach at 79 knots with full flaps using enough power to control the glide path. Slightly higher approach speeds should be used under turbulent air conditions. After all approach obstacles are cleared, progressively reduce power to reach idle just before touchdown and maintain the approach speed by lowering the nose of the airplane. Touchdown should be made power off and on the main wheels first. Immediately after touchdown, lower the nose wheel and apply braking as required. For maximum brake effectiveness, retract the flaps, hold the control yoke full back and apply maximum brake pressure without skidding. Now, that's the technique from the manual. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, we need to modify it a little bit by pulling the power off a little bit earlier, because it seems the ground effect is just a bit too strong in Microsoft Flight Simulator. In the real world, when you're pulling the power, you can really feel your airplane descending a little bit further and losing a bit of energy. In the simulator, that seems to be missing, so we have to adjust that technique slightly to adapt for our flight simulator limitations. That, by the way, counts for any airplane, be it a 737 or be it a 787 in Microsoft Flight Simulator. That goes for any airplane. Alright, so let's now hop inside. I'm going to do some quick and dirty procedures over here to get the Cirrus up and running. So if you spot anything that's not exactly correct with the procedure over here, then don't worry, that is probably going to be intentional. Alright.
Clear prop!
So that's our engine running right down here. Okay, and with that we're pretty much ready to go. So just waiting for our torso alignment. Okay, so let's just revise. For the short field takeoff, we are going to use flaps 50%. So let's go ahead and set that now already. And then we are going to hold the brakes, put the power lever full forward, and when the engine parameters are checked and stabilized, then we release the brakes, rotate at 80 knots, and like that we can depart. Okay, so off to the runway. Looking at the windsock, we seem to be using runway 12 today. Or is it a 12? It's the one over there. So let's go ahead and give this one a try. backtrack. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't I just start the tutorial straight on the runway? Well, here's why. You want to use as much runway as you have available. So in order to do that, let's just quickly talk about the correct technique for backtracking here. We want to go all the way to the side, and then with a little bit of power applied, full rudder input and the toe brakes, you will be able to turn the plane on a minimum of space. So see that? Let's look outside, and here it is. We're really standing at the very start of the runway. So that's a little Microsoft Flight Simulator technique over here with the playing with the power while holding a brake, but it really helps you to get the most out of the runway you have. Now, many flight simulators do tend to end up somewhere over here at the end of the numbers, and well, look at the airspeed indicator as we start the takeoff roll. By the time we pass over here, we will have our first 10 knots or something on our speed. So using the most runway you've got available is quite important over here. Alright, cool. So let's now go back into the plane. We are on the runway, landing lights coming on, pitot on, and the flaps are out at 50%. Mixture full rich. That's especially important after you've leaned the plane for taxi. And finally, I am quickly going to dial in the Patron altitude. Okay, so holding the brakes, increasing power. Here we go, 100% power set, 36 inches, and our power is checked. Cool. With that, we can go ahead and release our brakes. Keep the plane on the center line. Ooh, a little gust here, 80 knots, rotate. Okay. And here we are, flying. Okay, and that is the short field takeoff technique. So now let's quickly fly traffic pattern, and then we're going to do the short field landing. We're initially going to do it on runway 15 over here, and then later we are going to shift runways to really try it on the shortest one available. Okay, 600 foot pattern altitude. Take it around the corner. And then let's review our short field landing technique once again. So, short field landing. Flaps will be at 100%, and the airspeed is going to be 79 knots on the final. If we've got turbulent or gusty conditions, we can increase that a little bit, but I especially picked this kind of weather over here in Helgoland, because you can see it is a little bit turbulent, but not really much. So under these conditions I would absolutely consider using 79 knots for the approach rather than increasing my approach speed. So just to give you an idea of what is not considered like strong turbulence or something. You can see speed is more or less stable. That's what I'm looking at. If my speed was varying by like 5 or 6 knots, where it's doing like 1 knot right now, then I wouldn't really care. But like that, we are going to use 79 knots. Okay then, let's turn onto base, and then we can go flaps 100%. Okay, so flaps 100%, speed 79 knots, reduce the power to idle. To reach idle by the time you touch down, that is what the pilot's operating handbook says. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, that doesn't really work. It is going to give you a very prolonged flare, and especially on a short runway, we definitely want to avoid that. So for that reason, I am going to go to idle power a little bit earlier. That's slightly deviating from realistic procedures here in favor of our beloved simulator and taking into account its deficiencies. But go ahead and try both techniques, see what you like best, and that is what you are going to do in the end. Alright, land on the main wheels, and when the mains are down, you can start applying maximum braking. So let's give that a try and see how much runway we're actually going to need. So 79 knots, that is looking good. Alright, and thanks to Microsoft Flight Simulator, I'm going to idle just as we pass over at the beach, so over here. Flare. See, it's flaring for eternity. Okay, touchdown, brakes. So we could even have pulled the power a little bit earlier. In the real world that would certainly have been too early, but for simulator purposes, that's just how we gotta do it in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So nonetheless, we ended up over here like at least 100, maybe 150 meters in front of the runway end. So we used like about 300 meters, I would guesstimate. Maybe 350 meters of runway over here. Okay then, taxiing back. We're going to do another takeoff. This time, we're going to be landing on the short runway that we've got over here. By the way, this is officially where the tutorial part ends, and where the pilot sitting in a simulator can't risk his butt, so he's just having a little bit of fun part, is going to start. Again, watch the lineup technique. Ooh, that was a little bit too far. See, now I wasted a little bit of runway here. That might be the point to go back to the beginning of the video, where I told you, just look at how much runway I wasted, and look at the speed that I had at this point. Alright, so now we are just having fun, but still applying correct technique. So 50%. Then in terms of a trim, yeah, that's roughly okay. Alright, cool. So I'd say we're ready to go. Let's give this another try. So hold the brakes, power to 100, wait for the engine to stabilize like it has now, release brakes. And here we go, accelerating. Little gust there. 80 knots, rotate. And we're in the climb. Okay, so this time we are going to fly out a little bit further, as we want to navigate back to the shorter runway, as favored by the winds at the moment. Okay, Patron altitude 600 is looking good. Let's take that power back, keep the speed where it is. Okay, that's a field in sight down there. We are on an extended downwind. Then let's make another turn in. Okay, flaps 100%. Starting the descent over here. A little bit hard to look around without an eye tracker right now, but there's our runway. Immediately ahead of us. Okay, so again, short field technique, 79 knots, and they tell us to get the power down by the time we touch down. For compensating from Microsoft Flight Simulator, again, I am going to pull the power a little bit later, a little bit earlier, in order to get it really right. So this is like 300 meters runway now. If you want, go to Google Earth and do the measuring, or just go to the AIP and check it there. Okay, let's pull the power. Gotta overfly a couple of obstacles here. And touchdown. And here we go. Alright, sufficient runway available. We might even have taken the shortest one. So that must have been like 200 meters of landing run or so. And I tell you honestly, I'm happy with that. I'm not going to go for the very shortest. I don't want to test my luck. Alright, cool. So that's basically the technique, and that is how you do it. Don't try to prolong the flare for no need, if you know what I mean. Fly down onto the runway like I just did. And then try to find the parking brake. It's got to be somewhere down here. Grab here. Yeah, where? There it is. Okay, perfect. Cool, found the parking brake. Alright, so that is basically it. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, do let me know in the comments below. I'm looking forward to your comments. I'm looking forward to see you trying the same. And if you can, upload a couple of videos of your short field landings and link them underneath this video. That's going to be it from my side. Thank you very much for watching. I see you all again on the next one. And in the meantime, would like to say thank you very much. If you did like the video, be sure to leave a like, as it does help with the YouTube algorithms. Comment to let me know what you think of it. And finally, if you're up for more, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and if you really like what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you very much, and see you all again on the next one.